Hello everyone, welcome to the Geekdom, the place where we outcasts come to talk about the things we love. And today, finally, we're talking Transformers 1. I have been wanting to make a Transformers video on this channel for years, and I finally got an excuse to make a really awesome character here. So we've already had Lego sets for Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. Who's the other biggest Transformers character? Damn right, it's the leader of the Decepticons, Megatron. I've got 3 versions of Megatron here for you today. All from the Transformers 1 movie. It's not yet out in the UK. I'm seeing it this week. So, if I get anything wrong, deal with it. I'm sorry.
My name is Optimus Prime. This is a message. To any viewers who haven't subscribed, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers. Click the red button. We are waiting.
Anyway, we're going to start with D16, the cogless version of Megatron. Now, as I understand it in this movie, there's 3 versions of Megatron. There is D16, the version who cannot transform. There is D16 cogged, who has like the transforming cog, who then can transform, and then there's Megatron. So I've got all 3 versions of those for you today. Starting off with D16. First thing you're going to notice, and I'm just going to address this now, the face, right? The face went through many different iterations, and it took quite a while to crack. Does it look identical to Megatron? Probably not. But with the scale I was working with and the parts I could use, I think I've done a pretty good job. I'm quite pleased with it, personally. We're going to go from head to toe, as I always do with my minifigures. So the head is basically built around one of those brick heads pieces with the studs on the side and on the front. So you've got those plates on the front with the mouth section slightly further out to give it a bit of dimension. And then around the head, you've got all these curved plates and those slopey pieces. And then on top, it's just like a big flat disc, which obviously his helmet here has to look different to his Megatron helmet. So as you'll see later, that is a completely different build. But I do think this looks pretty good, and to be honest, as far as I could go in the scale, I think this looks great for D16. The way this set is made is you start with a base armature. So we're talking the torso, legs, and the base arms. And basically the way it works is, depending on which version of D16 you want, you add on the different pieces that correspond with that version. So underneath all of this, we have like the armature of Megatron. And in his chest, he has that cogless section like we see in the movie. I wanted to figure out a way to make that indented as well as being able to have all the additional parts. So it came around that the base armature does have that space for the cog to go in. As you can see behind D16's armor plate there. The legs are exactly the same on all 3 versions. So the printing on the front there, basically a lot of this printing is just what I've seen. I don't think it has any purposes, it's just to make them look metallic and like they've got all sorts of bits of detail all over them. So as you can see there, it's got those printings on the thigh sections on the front, and that's printed on a 2x3 flat tile. The other printing he has on his leg is on the back, and it has some of those inverted slopes. And that's just some very simple printing, just to give it a bit of life, bit of character. And then his legs, like the actual shin section, is where all the building comes in. Because I tried to make it as accurate as possible. It's got all sorts of greeblies, it's got vents, it's got all sorts going on down there. But you will notice that the legs are fully articulated. They use those sort of like ratchety joint things. So they can go out, they can go forward and back, they can bend at the knee and at the heel. Not the widest range of articulation in the world, there's not a great deal of swivel, but I did the best with what I could. Obviously this guy is not at the 100% same scale as your Optimus Prime, so I worked with what I could do, and I think it looks really great. I think it looks very accurate. The arms themselves, if you take away the wrist gauntlets and the shoulder pauldrons, that's what the arms are. So as you can see on his left shoulder, he has that like Decepticon sticker printed on there. That is part of the base arm, because all the other shoulders besides this one slot over that. So he does have that printing on the base armature. His wrists, they have like little Technic pinholes so that you can like attach all the different arms and stuff. And once again, just little bits of detail there as well. You obviously got those grills and all sorts there. And most of this is done in a nice pearlescent gunmetal grey. And then the rest of it is done in a metallic silver. But yeah, the gunmetal grey looks really nice. There's also hints of blacks on the joints and stuff as well, but it's not too noticeable. The hands themselves are very simple. It's just bar and clip pieces, pretty much, and then on the top you've got a black ingot just to kind of give it some more dimensions. Okay, now that we've gone over the base armature, I'm going to walk you through all 3 stages of Megatron. So this one, as I've already gone over the head, we're going to start with the torso. Now this one has the most printing on its torso. I wanted to make him look a bit rough, a bit battered. I didn't want it to look as sleek as the end Megatron. I wanted to look as far from that as possible. Obviously, he's got that big gap in the section, that sort of U shape, so that you can see the cog section in the middle to show that this Megatron cannot transform. And totally for that reason, and not because it was too difficult, totally, this figure cannot actually transform, right? This thing does not turn into a tank. I know it's heartbreaking, but I wanted it to... I was willing to sacrifice the transforming aspect to have a more accurate look for Megatron. So I'm still pretty pleased. Obviously, all over the front there's printing. He's got his little gold badge to show that he's a like an Energon mine worker. He's got all these sort of lines and details. I wanted him to look rough. I didn't want him to look nice and sleek. Along that chest section, as you can see there, it's just got a bunch of greeblies, and then you've got those little red sections, which I've kind of been looking at a bunch of reference images, and for some reason it looks like the red sections on Megatron grow over time, which is a bit weird. He's got those sort of, like, what do you even call those? The weird curvy pieces around his, like, abdomen, which have some really nice printing on there. I think this looks really nice. I think this has come together really nicely. It does look really good with the back as well. You've got a few printed pieces on here, so you've got some vents and just some random technological bits here and there. And then most of it is just, like, vents and studs and stuff. Both of these pieces are separate. These don't go on together. You plug the back in and you plug the torso on top as well. So if you wanted to, you could have final stage Megatron's torso with this back section. It's all up to you, really. It's a bit of a mix and match. Okay, onto the arms. His shoulders are very simple. They're quite curved and smooth because I didn't want them to look too bulky for this version. I wanted this version to look as small as possible in comparison to the later stage Megatron. As I said before, he's got that Decepticon logo on his left shoulder, but that isn't actually a part of the shoulder. That's part of the base armor. But yeah, it's very simple. It's just flat tiles and then curved pieces. The flat tiles do have a little bit of printing on them as well. It's just a bunch of circles and squares, just to make it look a bit more detailed. Then the forearms are a bit more of a complicated build. They have some exposed studs on the top, in case for some reason you wanted to plug some of Megatron's weapons from the other ones onto this one. It's really up to you. I tried to have as much openness when it came to mix and matching these Megatrons as possible, so that if I ever do make this as like actual instructions and sell them online or whatever, you'd be able to have as much freedom as you want with your Megatron. Next up, we have D16 cogged. Basically, the biggest thing you'll notice is that we've covered up that chest hole. We're going to start from head to toe again. Obviously, this is the Megatron head shape. He's got the full Megatron helmet on, which I think looks really, really nice. We've got some curved pieces up top, which do jut out a little bit, but I'm not too bothered by that. It was the best piece for what I was going for. I feel like we've got different levels, which is nice. We've got the top, we've got those curved bits on the side, and then we've got some more angular curves coming outside. I want it to make it look blocky. I want it to make it look really armored. Obviously, we're using the same face prints here as we did in the last one, because it's still D16. We've not yet reached that Megatron section. Moving down onto the torso, obviously, as I said, we filled that gap. We've also got some brand new printing on the front shoulder bits, which looks really, really nice. And then, as I said, the red sections do grow. We've got some red vents this time around the front, and we've got a nice blue circle in the center as well. I was looking on some concept images and stuff. He's the only one who has that. I don't know why, but it's there. And then it's kind of grown. I wanted to make it look a bit bigger. I wanted to make this version of D16 look a bit taller and stuff than the last one. So I think this looks really cool. He's definitely grown in stature. Shoulders wise, they're a lot blockier, as you can tell. They hang over the rest of the arm section. They've gotten a lot bigger. And then up top they've got some curved bricks, just to kind of add a bit of smoothness to it. He's not yet the full angered evil Megatron. He's just on his way. Armor, right? On his left, he's got basically nothing. It hangs over, it's very bulky, it's clearly very armored. On the right, it's the same sort of build, except we've now got a much bigger cannon, because obviously he can transform into a tank now. So we've got this massive cannon on his arm, which I think looks really, really cool. I used some of those more circular cone shapes, as well as just some more cylinder pieces to make this look. It's also got a couple of those grilled circle pieces as well, just to make it look a bit more textured and a bit more realistically metallic and stuff. The back has massively changed. We've got an entirely new assembly for this, and honestly I think I definitely prefer this one. It's just a lot bulkier. We've got a lot of those slopes, which looks really, really nice. We've got a couple of ingots and stuff on there, just add a bit of texture, grills, that sort of thing. And then an overly complicated, way too difficult to design assembly of some like cylindrical sections up top, which I don't know what their purpose is, but dear God, were they annoying to build. And finally, for this version of D16, you do have an option to remove his sort of chest rectangle there and replace it with pieces that have a sort of scratched on Decepticon logo, as you can see here. Obviously in the movie, as from what I've seen of the trailers and images released, he does have this on his chest, which I think looks really, really cool. It's like early stage Decepticons, which looks so awesome. I'm so excited to see this version specifically in the movie. And finally, we have the big bad, Megatron. So cool, so cool, so pleased with how this guy turned out. I think he is by far the best looking one out of them. When I've put this guy next to Optimus Prime in my own personal renders and stuff, it just looks incredible. Like, sure, the scale isn't flawless, but it looks brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm probably going to be making some renders of Optimus and this guy and stuff, and I'm going to be putting them up on the Instagram. If you want to go and follow that, the link will be in the description down below, so please go and do that. But we're going to start once again head to toe. As you can see, he's got a new faceplate. This time he's got red eyes, he's full, he's angry, he's Megatron, right? We love that. Entirely new build. There is little to no reuse from the previous D16s for this Megatron torso, which looks really, really great. It's a lot more angular, a lot blockier. There's barely any smoothness to this. I wanted it to look sharp and metallic and angry. And I think it looks really good. There's a lot of layers too. It really bulks this Megatron up. He looks a lot beefier than the others. There's little to no printing on this guy, because I wanted it to all be in the design of this metallic silver. And I think it looks really great. Obviously, we've got that flat circular gunmetal stud in the middle there, which looks really nice. The vents that used to be kind of full red have now just become like these sort of angular red vents to kind of mimic what they look like in the movie. As I said before, we've got these big giant angular slopes here that kind of wrap around his upper torso, and then we've got some like sharper, like more angular pieces up top. I've got to say the helmet does look a lot more menacing with those red eyes. I think it looks awesome. Shoulder armor is incredibly similar to D16 because it's a very similar build, except I've added some sharper pieces. I've added a few more pieces to just kind of bulk it up a bit. Once again, I want him to look much beefier than the other two. So we've just kind of beefed him up around the shoulders and stuff. His left forearm now has a smaller cannon on it, which is probably just kind of like light weaponry, you know, probably close range, that sort of thing. And then on the right, we've got his big boy cannon, his big, beautiful, actual prime Megatron cannon. Looks awesome. So it's this giant like cannon build, and then on the end of it, it's mostly built out of those cylinders again, but we've got a 2x2 flat tile with a stud on top, plugged in at an angle, so that then you can use those sort of right angle bricks to create that sort of shape that he has in the movie. And then on top of that weapon, he's got a similar build to his left forearm on top of that, which I thought was kind of a cool choice, which I saw when I first saw it in the concept art, and I think it looks really cool here. His back is slightly changed once again. It's just a little bit bulkier, as I said. We've got some slopes, especially on the inside, so when you look at him head on, you can see that it's come forward a little bit more, which looks nice. The set also gives you the option to plug some purple studs on the gun as well to look like he's just about to fire it at some Autobots. So that's entirely up to you once again. You do have the option for this character, just like the last one, to add a Decepticon logo. So if you take away the flat tile on his chest about here, you can plug in one that has the Decepticon logo if you want a more accurate sort of G1 style Megatron. And personally, I do think that looks a lot better. I do not currently know if that's in the film. There's been a couple of toys released with it on, but I don't know for sure if he does get the full Decepticon logo in the film. But if you want a more G1 Megatron, that's right there for you. Well everyone, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you have enjoyed. If you have, feel free to like and subscribe down below. As I said, it does go a really long way. And if you love Transformers 1, tell me why. Tell me your favourite Transformer in the comments. I love to hear it. And if this video does well, you best believe I'll be making Orion packs as well. Optimus Prime in this style to go with this Megatron. Well anyway everyone, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Till all are one.